Hello.
Thank you all for joining us here tonight on ATWD&H Live Roundtable. As always, please sound off in the comments so that you will be entered to win one of our prizes. This week, we are giving away 2 prize packs inspired by The Evil Down the Street and The Crumbs. All of us here at All Things Walking Dead Horror Facebook group are so excited to have Craig Aarons and David Espinoza from CRA Entertainment come and join us for our season 2 finale. How are you all doing today?
Fabulous.
Great.
All right. Well, I guess it's night now, unless you're in California.
Yeah, we're in California. It's nice out. Still evening.
Yep.
Well, all right. We really appreciate your generosity in supplying the links to the 2 movies that we could watch last week. And I know there's a whole bunch of questions on those 2 movies, but let's get stuff back here. And the first question is, your company is Creative Renegade Artist or CRA Entertainment. How did you come up with that name?
Good.
Just to conversate. Go ahead, David. Yeah, we just comparing. It's coming up with different ideas, different combinations, and that just seemed to fit us and fit the company, and we liked it, and there you have it.
Yeah, one of the gentlemen that works with us by the name of Shane Moss, he said, well, what about Renegade? We were talking about creative renaissance and, all this stuff. He says, you guys sound like a bunch of old guys. And I go, whoa.
We are. That's why we like
Renegade fits us more because we are sort of running out on our own, away from everything. We really don't think too much about what industry things are about. We just kind of do what we want to do.
So you only going to do write and produce horror movies, or are you going to try to go off in another genre? Or
well, we're attempting that as we speak. We're getting ready to release a film in the next couple of weeks called Love in Quarantine. It's a romantic horror-comedy. Let's just sit with that for a minute.
Have to let that roll around in your head for a minute.
Yeah.
In other words, everyday life.
Right.
Well, we think it deals with present time issues. Love in Quarantine is the name of it, so you can get the idea of what's going on.
Right.
Contemporary issues right now, and but no, we would like to someday do a Western and other stuff. We also have a film called Demon Fighter that's coming out. It looks like it'll be coming out probably second month next year, February, what we're shooting for, but first quarter next year for sure. And we're excited about that film. It stars John Azuna, Master John Azuna. And that film has action, it has mystery, it has the supernatural, it carries a lot of different elements. And the actors are just off the hook good. Jeannie Young, of course, is in this. Robert Crowe's in it. N.J. Brown, a number of other good people, and including Master Azuna. So we want to branch out into other things, but we like horror. Our horror fans you cannot find better fans in any movie genre than horror fans. They love you. They don't care who you are, where you're from, or if anybody even knows you. If your film is good, they appreciate you.
Yeah. Well said.
Okay. The one you said you had the Kung Fu Master horror movie. I know I read your thing. It said it's a master turned priest turned exorcist.
Correct. That's the Demon Fighter, Master John Azuna. And in real life, Master Azuna holds the world record, Guinness Book World Record for number of punches thrown and fastest punch ever thrown.
Right.
Yeah, he's awesome. SAG actor. He's currently in Venom. He plays the Scarecrow. He's also in Matrix. The new Matrix coming out. We were very pleased to have him as this particular character, because he brought so much action to the scenes. I don't want to give too much of it away, because I think people will appreciate it more if they don't know what's going on. But take this. This is a guy who grew up rough, was locked up, learned to fight, found God, and became an exorcist, feeling it was his duty to fight evil in the streets, in the hearts of man, while he wrestles with the demons of his own.
That's, I don't think I could even come up with anything like that.
From the sick minds of Aarons and Espinosa.
Yeah, that's what happens if we talk to each other too much.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I guess that's really what happens. I don't know. Amanda had a question, but I guess she's still a little bit busy. So let me scroll down here real fast, try to fill in a little bit.
You want me to go ahead
If
now?
you're ready, go for it. Go for it.
How long is the whole process for you both, given your involvement in writing, acting, producing, directing, from the original concept through the movie and premiere?
That depends. I'll just tell you, our first film, we spent what, Craig, 10 months developing it after the script. We never met in person. We did it all over the phone and the internet. And the first time we met was the day before we started shooting the film. We shot it in, what was it, 15 days? 14
15 or
days?
16, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Just blazed through it, but because the planning was pretty adept. The pre-production planning is the most important part of filmmaking. I don't care how good your script is. I don't care how great your actors are. If you are not planned out, you will run into unforeseen bumps and problems that will eventually cause you money, cost you time, and will create a big disturbance. So, on and on. After that, it goes into, we shoot it, and that's quick. We've done every film inside of 2 weeks, Craig. We shot 4 films, each one of them, we shot it inside of 2 weeks.
Correct.
And that's because of pre-planning. But then the post-production, that's where your real nightmare is, because you're involving a lot of other technicians and people who are beyond your control to a degree. You rely on their expertise. And we are fortunate to have people like Brad Durante, Josh Williams, some very serious, David Marshall, people who have worked with us, are continuing to work with us on our films. And those people we rely on. Aside from editing, Craig picks up that. Maybe you want to talk about editing and that process.
Yeah, like what David says, I mean, everything that you see on the film, I mean, that's a long process, and the secret certainly is pre-production, but when it goes to post-production, like what David is saying, is editing. And you know, on the producing side, that's more what I do with CRA, certainly the front end during the production and post-production, and being involved with the editing. I mean, that's everything that you see in the film, and literally I will agonize like 1/10 of a second. I mean, it sounds crazy. I know, but we really, and I'll say something to David, and I know at times he's just humoring me, like this guy's just out of his mind. But of our films that we have released, that regardless of, let's say, how our audience receives them, there's not one edit that I would care to go back and say, well, if we had a chance to do it again, we would do this or that. So editing I take really serious, because that's going to stand the test of time. I mean, that's hopefully that future generations will enjoy the art that David and I create. And David and I, we don't know how to compromise. I mean, we don't say like, well, that's good enough. We'll stay on it. Anything. Editing is high up there because of the artistry that's associated with that. But we are relentless in our pursuit of doing the best movie that we can make. And David gets all the accolades as far as the pre-production. He spends a ton of time going over the shot list and everything, and with the crew. So when you show up, it's like Super Bowl Sunday. You don't just show up and say, well, I don't know. Why don't you go over there? Yeah, that's it. Well, no, it's orchestrated every step of the way.
You said what was it? The post production. About how long does it take to get to the? Do you set that out, or does it just take longer sometimes, or?
Wow, complicated, huh, Craig?
Yeah. Okay, we can look at Love and Quarantine would be a good illustration. We shot that February of this year, and we're looking at having that come out next month. So you're talking 9 months, okay? Demon Fighter, we shot that June and July of last year. It'll be coming out the second quarter of next year. It's a more complicated film, with the fight scenes and all of that, if you will. So an average of a year, but like what David was suggesting, it's, we are done, and it's ready to be released when we're done with it. So let's say anywhere between 9 months to a year and a half, or a year and a few months.
It varies. You can't have there's no set rule. Then there's a lot of complications. As indie filmmakers, we face the challenge of working with a lot of people who sometimes don't have the pleasure of working films full time. So they have other jobs, and they're trying to get started in the industry, and they're trying to do things. And we want to support all filmmakers, anybody, any part of the craft. And on that note, we believe strongly in everybody gets paid. So in our productions, nobody works for free. Even the PAs, we will tip the PAs as well. So we're very big on that. And as Craig's telling you, it's just sometimes it just depends on what you're doing. The more complicated the film, the more involved, the more it's going to take to do it. And then again, with the people, right now, we have a very strong core group of people.
Mm-hmm.
We are extremely proud of having Jerry Gonzalez on graphics with Josh and these guys doing this work. I mean, you can't replace that talent with your ego. So we stand back. We say, this is what we want. Do your thing, because I can't do it. That's not my thing. And I respect the heck out of that. This is a complicated thing we do, indie filmmaking. I think it's more complicated than professional film, if you want to say professional. I think we're professional, and professional is an attitude and approach. And I think we're that. But again, we're looked at as indie filmmaking. We don't have one film that's cost us $100,000 or more. They're all under that.
Wow.
How does that happen? Well, Craig said it. He's meticulous about every last little detail. As Scorsese said, it's the details. It's the details. And he's so right, because that's where it is. We get one opportunity to show the film, the very first opening, to be good. And when we put that film out there, it's the best that we could do with what we had under the circumstances we were working. Right. And we make no regrets. We look at each other and we sit by the exits just in case. You never know.
Only in the event if it turns ugly, Joe. We're out of here.
Cover them bases.
Okay, how did you go about choosing the actors for the movies? Did you already have someone in mind for the specific roles even before auditions began, or what?
Well, that's a two-step process, yes and no. We have done films where I thought about an actor who I thought could work the part, but they have to audition like everybody else. We audition every single part, whether I know you or not, and even if I've written something that I think you're good for, I'll still have you audition. If somebody's better than you, I'm sorry, you don't get the part. The competition involved in this is horrendous. And like I said, it's about the film. We want the best film, the best actors, the best technicians that we could get. So, and I don't look at either of us, Craig, I don't view reels, really. I want to see what you're doing in an audition. Right. I want to see what you're going to do on a redirect. because that's what will happen. And if I think I can work with you, and Craig and I both agree, we'll cast you. Simple as that.
We also post on a number of casting sites, and for the newer actors, I think that's important. And like what David said, as far as a reel, because so many actors said, I don't have a reel or whatever. That matters not to us. We will hire a lot off a taped audition, which is essentially like an open book test. Just be good. I mean, there's no time limitation. Like, you have to do this in 5 minutes. So for somebody who is really good, they've worked hard at their craft, but maybe they don't have the crest, like what David said. If they're the character, they're the character. And like David, like you might want to mention about like Elena, in Evil Down the Street, that'd be a really good storyline for actors that may not have a depth of resume, but they're really good and just need that opportunity, if you will.
Yeah. In Evil Down the Street, Elena Gerard auditioned for us, and she looked the part. And her audition was pretty good. So we re-auditioned her, and I gave her the redirect. She got it back in an hour. Exactly what I wanted.
Wow.
And since she looked the part, we both said, well, all right, she's an amateur. Never done any feature films. She's done some shorts and, some local commercial stuff, but let's give her a break. Let's cast her. We cast her, and she worked her behind off. She really did. She put the time in, she put the effort in, and the finished product is what you saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, we have another question from the audience.
Yes, Mike would like to know what made you want to get into horror? Like, what was your inspiration?
Craig?
Well, I think part of it, the age category of David and myself, we were raised on really good horror. I mean, Frankenstein. I think of the great actors like Bela Lugosi, Dracula and Creature of Black Lagoon. So we had that, and you had, Alfred Hitchcock. So, we were first, kind of groomed in that area, and movies that stand out. For me, certainly go back to those films. And with Evil Down the Street, the family in question I had known for years. So, and it was just an ordinary family, nothing out of the ordinary about them. And what always struck me was that fact. They're just an ordinary family, and things just got a little bit out of control. So that was always a story I felt compelled to tell, just for the reasons I mentioned. And then, David and I, after that, we did The Crumbs, and we have Demon Fighter and whatnot. But I think, at least for me, it kind of goes to my roots when I was a kid. I mean, all the black and white, scary Frankenstein movies. How about you, David?
I watched scary movies all my life. I'm not into, gore for gore's sake, but, blood and guts that has a purpose. Well, yeah, okay, that works, and quite frankly, again, as an indie filmmaker, a lot of times the audience dictates what's popular. It's not us. And they will accept us regardless of the fact that who are we? I mean, and that's straight out, I've often picked horror movies looking at the jacket. I don't know any of the actors. I don't know the directors. I go, oh, this looks interesting. Let's see what this is about. The old days when I used to go over to the video stores, right? Well, that's how I did it. And now nothing's really changed. Yes, and nothing's changed. We still do it on Netflix. You go to the horror section and you're looking at the best poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know that every time I see a movie, I always come up with questions, and I never get the answers because, of course, there's nobody there to ask. But since I got you two cornered here, I'm going to ask some questions of the movies here. The setting for the first movie y'all did, Evil Down the Street, was a deliberate move away from the usual rural old haunted house type scenarios. Did the true events that inspired the movie actually take place, or more in urban settings such as the one featured?
It would be similar to the one featured. Yeah. Yeah.
The only difference is that the basement was 100 miles away in
Right.
Banning, California, at an old abandoned reform school, and it was on a house separate from the campus on the grounds, no electricity or anything, and it's a 2-room basement down in over this house. So we shot all those scenes first, and then well, you saw the result. It looks, of course, like they are going down in their basement in their house. And the storyline was that the original house was an old, rickety, scary house. They tore down, left the basement, and built the new house.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's another audience question, so I'll let them go for it, Amanda.
Mike would like to know if either of you own a Ouija board.
Nope.
I do. I used to.
Me too. One time. No more.
Yeah, I will no longer have a Ouija board in my house. But yeah, I certainly did. Yeah.
Well, I know that my mother did, and I never liked the results of what came from her forays with my sisters. So I've never owned one and never will own one. And
Yeah.
you can keep it. I think Milton Bradley or whoever puts it out just kind of fooling everybody with saying it's a game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a kid's game.
No, that's true.
What was the first horror movie you two ever watched?
I know exactly what the first horror movie I ever watched. It was the original Frankenstein. I was 6. I was at the Westwood Theater in Denver, Colorado. My brother and I always, every Saturday, we spent the whole day, and if we had enough money, we'd do it on Sunday too at the movies. And that movie literally scared the crap out of me. I was so afraid in that movie, I could not get out of my seat until my brother said, "What's that smell?" What? I was 6, he was 8. I mean, I don't even know. I can't justify it. I was terrified. And ever since then, I've enjoyed scaring myself. Anything that scares me, I've always tried to confront. So yeah, Frankenstein. And by the way, Svengoolie's having the House of Frankenstein with Wolfman, Bela Lugosi, and everybody else there Saturday night.
Craig, what about you?
Yeah, and I was thinking, I'm right there with David, and maybe it's one of these things I've just said it enough to my mind that I've convinced myself. But right, and when I think of movies that had an impact as when I was a child, Wizard of Oz, certainly.
Oh.
I mean that really did, and those flying monkeys still creep me out. I mean, right? It's just that whole thing just was too much. But then it goes to Frankenstein, and then just that lumbering big monster. It doesn't matter how fast you run, you're not going to get away from it. And I know it caused me nightmares as a kid that, the boogeyman, the monster's chasing you, and you're running as fast as you can, and he's walking, even running, he's still gaining on you. So I'm with David on that. What always stood out of my mind is Frankenstein. Yeah.
I couldn't even walk by big iron doors like in an alleyway for a garage or something. I knew Frankenstein was behind them doors.
Yeah.
It totally scared me. Now I get it, the antiquated aspects of Frankenstein now in the film. I understand that. But remember, I'm 68. I was 6. That's 62 years ago.
Yeah.
That was scary then. And then The Exorcist, come on, when that came out, I was already that scared the bejesus out of me. I was like, oh my, it was so real, so well done. Oh, Peter Blade, I was blown away.
Yeah.
So, and even so, Last House on the Left, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The problem with those films is they were based on actual stories that disturbed the heck out of me. I mean, I lost it in the theater and stood up. Ah! Everybody kind of looked at me. Hey, sit down, buddy. What's wrong with you? So, yeah. Why do we scare ourselves? I don't know.
Guess it's the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Amanda, you got another one there?
Not at the moment.
All right. So one member sent this question to me to ask, what was the deal with all the potatoes in the mashed potatoes scene? What was that all
Well, maybe
that's a really good question.
What's that?
That's a really good question, huh, Craig?
Yeah, and I could probably touch on that. The mom in real life, be it potatoes. Just imagine your mother, okay, as you are used to your mother being, and then over time, not immediately, but over time, transgresses and starts making just unusual dinners, like potatoes might be like, that's what we're having for, it's just strange and unusual that I think, in a family construct, we will all pick up little behavioral shifts in family members. Like, wait a minute, that's a bit askew. And so the potatoes was just symbolic of the bizarre behavior the mother used to have in the kitchen. So there you go. And also, David likes potatoes. No.
Are you kidding? We boiled them afterwards and made mashed potatoes for everybody.
We were up to our navels and potatoes after that film, that's for sure.
Who cooked the potatoes? You, David?
Oh no, Craig as producer, I can't tell you how valuable this man is on set. Not only in pre-production is he working his tail off, when we get to production, he is cook, waiter, go get it, whatever it is. I mean, and if need an actor to do something, he's the guy. Craig, we need a delivery man. You're it. So,
and that's, Joe, that's true. I'll get asked now and then, like, what does a producer do? And it's like everything you see in the film, okay, from the beginning, opening of the film to the end, and the parts in between. I mean, I can think of the crumbs that we were running low, on wine for the dinner scene, and it's cranberry juice. All right, we're like basically out. And so you're off to the store for more cranberry juice. So I liken it to when you start a parade, you don't like, okay, shut it down unless there's a real problem. You don't shut it down, the parade keeps going. And that's kind of when you start shooting a film day one. I mean, it's not like, okay, guys, we're just kind of kidding here. We're going to go ahead and take the rest of the week off. That you just have to keep the machine going. So whatever it takes, that falls under the heading of producer, just whatever that looks like.
All right. I think there's another audience question there for you.
Yes, Deanna wants to know, since you both seem to have, like, for the adrenaline rush of horror movies, do you have any other hobbies that create that type of rush for you?
Whoa. That's a good question.
aside from making films?
Right. Aside from horror movies and making films, what's your hobby that makes you excited?
Well, I paint, I write, I was playing music for quite a bit. I just bang around on my drums now by myself. But I do that. If you saw my house where I live, all the walls are filled. Drives my wife crazy. But it's something I love doing, and it keeps me really focused and grounded. It's important, I think, for artists of any sort to find a way to extremely focus and concentrate your mind into something where everything else is not present, where you don't hear stuff, you don't see anything, you're just focused on what you're doing. And when I'm writing or when I'm painting, that's what happens to me. So it's yeah, it's a form of meditation. I love doing it. I go for walks the same way. And Craig, you got hobbies? You got dogs you walk and take care of?
Yeah, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'll listen to David's answer, and I've told him this, that he's an artist, a musician, and all of these things. Think, wow, that is so cool. And then it's like, Craig, what about you? And I feel like saying, that for me, and it's real simple. I'm like the last guy you'd ever cozy up to at a cocktail party, because for me it's real simple. It's our movies all the time. Okay, that's it. And if I'm not, and thank goodness now with the digital age, you can sit in the privacy of your home and make movies. So I'm home, and then I talk to David. Then if I'm not here, I'll run to the gym and do my thing there. If I'm not there, I walk my dogs. Outside of that, there you go. I mean, that's it. That's it. That's exciting, right? But that's really, you talk to David.
That's what I do. I watch movies.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
David and I both watch a lot of movies. I'll watch something, Netflix, Hulu, or whatever. Although Netflix quality lately has kind of gone down, but I like to watch how they edit, how they do this. How you watch a scene thinking, whoa, why didn't they cut it there? Why did they go? So I do watch a lot of film just for study purposes.
Yeah.
Most movies have long, drawn-out exorcisms, and yours didn't. Is that why the demon was only excised from Katie and not the house?
I'll go with that. That works for me. How about you, Craig?
Yeah, we're going to take that. Well, and also, if we modestly left the door open for a part 2.
Right. But
yeah, I mean, I think David said it best. Like, that's a good answer, and there you go. Father Bob just took care of business.
We were running out of time with our hosts who we had the house, and we had agreed to a certain date. We had some problems, as all bumps in the road with films do, right. And as a result, we were running out of time. And the Exorcist part was actually longer with more dialogue, and we weren't going to make it. So we shortened the scene, and surprisingly, we did it ad hoc. We were on set when we were cutting that scene apart, and the actress Elena, she was not aware of what Father Bob was going to do to her physically, and so how you see Elena react, Katie, it's authentic. Totally off left field. She never knew it was coming.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. I know that we got some little bit of time left with the Crumbs movie. How did you come up with the idea for
it? David.
Well, we'd been working on the script, and we just couldn't come together with the concept. We knew we wanted someplace out in the Willies, but we didn't know really. We had this family, but it wasn't working. And then one day I sat down, and for some reason, the name Dr. Benjamin popped into my head. And I said, oh, and he lives there with his mother, Irene, and their daughter, Victoria. And they got a guy who's a groundskeeper. He's huge, and he's black. His name's Leonard. They call him Lenny.
and for added measures, they're cannibals. So it's about as demented and twisted as all get out.
Yeah. Our goal in writing that film was to see if we could create characters that were so despicable and yet allow their characters to be accepted by the audience. The best comments we've gotten from this film, for me anyway, when people said, at the end of the film, I really didn't hate him. I kind of liked him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, that's a tell. So, how do you do that? These people are incestuous, murderers, cannibals, and there's a bit of vampirism going on there. They're sucking the blood of all these people and giving it to, Victoria. So how do you make these people likable?
Yeah.
That's what we set out to do.
Gotcha.
Right.
What was so special about the biker that made them suddenly have a conscience and not just made Victoria suddenly have a conscience? That I didn't understand the biker part of it there.
When he first arrived?
Yeah, when he first arrived, she started changing her idea. I mean, I guess it really started back when the kids were there with the internet, but that's a whole other question there. But then the biker comes in and leaves and comes back. And,
Oh, the motorcyclist.
Yeah, the motorcycle.
Oh, okay. Because there's a mountain biker, and I thought you were talking about him.
Yeah, I should have been more specific, I guess.
Well, in the second time when he arrives, he explains to her that he is supposed to be getting married to this woman, but he's not in love with her. She's beautiful, all that, because he's in love with a man. And so when he first came the first time, he was trying to escape what was going on. His life was going to be miserable, so he was going to commit suicide. So he goes upstairs, takes a bunch of pills, but they revive him. Morning, out of shame and just despair, he gets up and takes off before they know. He's gone.
Right.
Oh, that's a shame. There goes a good specimen. But he comes back.
Right.
And he finds the heart of Irene Crumb, Mama Crumb.
Right.
And he breaks down to her, and he sees her as a mother figure, and she sees him as a little baby boy, and her younger brother, and she coddles him and tells him you can love whoever you want. And because she just had that conversation with Victoria in the tub about,
Right.
Mother, is Leonard good for me? Well, he loves you, he'll take care of you, whatever, and she's like, oh, I love you, Mother. So that scene precedes that one, and it's about acceptance. It's
Gotcha.
about tolerance. And she's not going to kill him because he came back to thank her. He came back to show love and appreciate for what they did to him. He was special in that regard. Where a lot of the other people who came treated him kind of weird.
Yeah.
The motorcycle, not the motorcycle, but the mountain biker, for example. What was he about? Well, he was just all hot and horny for, Victoria. That's all that was. He thought he was going to have a party, and then when he found out that she kissed Leonard, he couldn't handle that. That's what set that up. That's it. He's done. He's a victim. So, again, it's relationships and how people feel about each other. I think that's
Right.
what we're getting at.
Right. Victoria not knowing about the internet. At first, I thought that was okay, and then because I was thinking that they had to get their bookings from a website, but then you guys changed that to the couple that found them on the flyer, and then I thought, well, they send out flyers, so that fixes that. Then the bikers saw the ad on Facebook, so where is the internet? Victoria doesn't know about it, but everybody else does, or
yeah, they don't get it up there where they're at. They're very, very secluded. They don't get the internet. They're not interested in it. Remember, these people 100 plus years, easy.
Right.
So they've seen a lot of stuff come and go. To them, it's just one more thing coming and going because they're not going. And their whole thing is they're going to be around in another 50, 100 years. So the internet for Irene is something that influences the outside world, influencing Victoria. She can't have the other things that other people have. She can't do those things. She's stuck right there, and every other day or so, she's getting transfusions because she's going to die. So that's, and she knows it. That's why she says, well, what about his life? When they're talking about killing the motorcycle guy. Yeah.
Right.
His life is just as equally as important as hers.
Right.
And again, I think what Craig and I were trying to do was to show people that despite how screwed up most of us are, we're all still people and we do have some good qualities. And if we just take the time to accept, those little idiosyncrasies that bug us, then we can come together, which is the very theme in Love and Quarantine. Not to segue into another film, but that's truly the theme of it. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Oh, okay. I think there's a couple of questions from the audience Amanda wants to ask real fast.
Apart from the movies based on true events, do you base any of your characters on people you know? And if so, do those people realize this while watching the movies?
well, the thing about writing, because I do a lot of writing, the thing about writing is you write what you know. Do not try to write what you don't know, because you're not going to. So most people, most writers, I think, always use a bit of a caricature from someone they know, somebody that did something, behaved a certain way, or had a certain quirk above their personality, and incorporate that. I do that because I think of people who behave a certain way. In Love and Quarantine, I wrote a character in there that reminds me very much of two friends of mine, two people I really good friends of mine. And so I used a combination of their personalities for this character. So yeah, absolutely. Whether they know that or not, I think as long as I keep it on a good positive note, they'll probably be okay. So, I don't know. But
That's funny.
I know Amanda has a burning question for you.
I do, but I have another question from the audience first. When can they expect Love and Quarantine to be out?
3-4 weeks max.
Okay.
Next few
And now
weeks.
my question is, did the PI make it in the crimes? Is he dead, alive, what?
Did the what make it?
The PI.
You.
Investigator.
You.
Yeah, the part.
Your part.
Oh, the PI.
Your part, yeah.
Well, he died.
That's what you want to know. Did you die?
I'm dead as a doornail. That was that shotgun. You got to understand something. Why I killed him. Somebody had to die. What are we going to do? Arrest these people?
Yeah.
Well, think of the film for a minute. Think of that. Okay, Valente goes in there and he arrests everybody. Now where do we go with that? I mean, that's not fun. The fun part was thinking that little girl in the truck thinking she got away. Valente thinking that he's got him now, the dirty SOBs. And boom, it turns right around on him. And I've had a lot of people tell me, I wasn't ready for that. I didn't see that one coming. The sheriff shoots him in the head. It's like, well, somebody had to die. If I didn't kill Valente, we couldn't get a good ending. At least I thought it was a good ending. Keep him alive.
Any plans for a sequel to either of the movies?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Is there any plans for a sequel to either of the movies, a part 2 to either of them?
Well, that depends on you folks out there. How much you love the movie, how much you want to see a sequel. We're filmmakers. Our job is to entertain, inform, and enlighten. And entertain is numero uno. So if enough people said, we want to see a sequel, well, we would certainly pay attention to that because I know the actors who did it would love to do that.
Well, it has been a big question in the comment section tonight.
Well, quite frankly, The Crumbs, I think, would make a great television series.
Ooh.
Keep it open for a while. I mean, think of some of these that are out there. Dexter, for example.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, here's a guy who's killing people just perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody likes him.
True.
We got room for one more audience question, Amanda.
No, they're wanting to know your social media handles, Twitter, Instagram.
Sure. For Facebook, CRA Entertainment. You can also hit David and me up as well. We have our own pages. For Instagram, it would be CRA Entertainment. And the same for Twitter. We don't do a lot on Twitter, probably because we just don't quite understand Twitter. So I mean, our social media choice. I mean, really, look at us. We're old guys, right? But our social media platform of choice is really Facebook, because it allows us to really engage with people. Instagram and Twitter, I don't know, it's just not the same, but we have them. And our YouTube channel, we have a YouTube channel with a whopping 8 subscribers. So just your audience tonight, we could double our audience, and that's also CRA Entertainment.
16 is our goal.
Yeah, I know, right?
I have another question from the audience. Out of the two movies, which one is your favorite?
Say it one more time. What was that?
Out of the two movies, which one is your favorite? The Crumbs or Evil Down the Street?
The Exorcist.
Oh, that's good. You know, for me, it's like I was a single dad for years with 3 kids, and any parent I think could relate to this. So, you know, I love my 3 kids. They're just, each one is uniquely talented, and I feel the same way about both films. That these are our kids, and you know, to say, oh, if you had to save one falling off the bridge, it's you know, I'll jump. So for me, I don't have a favorite. What about you, Dave? That's a good question.
I like your answer. I'm adopting your answer. That was perfect. Yeah, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
They had their challenges. They had their hero moments. You know, they're each so individually different that, and I think that's what we want to continue doing, making films that are so different from each other that we don't have a favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like your kids. You're not supposed to have one, right?
There you go. At least don't tell them. Yeah, at least don't tell them.
Don't say it out loud.
All right, I got one more question, and then I think we're pretty much out of time here. When the kid fisherman's walking through the woods during the Crumbs, is he from town, first of all?
Yes. And the kid is seen prior to that in the scene where the young people show up in the car. When they come out of the store, that little boy is walking out with 3 other kids. And they're talking about going fishing. And then you see that kid down the lane, and of course you see Dr. Benjamin, who lures him over into the bushes and strangles him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did he kill the kid, especially because he was from town? Isn't he kind of well, I guess the sheriff would investigate it, but why kill him? I mean, what was the purpose?
Well, if you recall, prior to it, he had a big falling out with Leonard.
Right.
And Leonard had him by the neck.
Right.
And was strangling him. And Mama Benjamin took him off. And then he took off. And then Dr. Benjamin went to look for him. For what reason, I don't know. But he finds the boy, and it's a substitute. He's also showing other parts of his character. Remember, Dr. Benjamin is an incestuous man. So he's disgusting right out the door. So how he finds sexual gratification strangling this little boy is what that scene's about. When we did this scene and we originally were putting it together and editing, we had an editor working on this project who didn't want that scene included. We thought it was going to offend a lot of people. And I said, well, it should. That's an offensive scene.
Yeah.
If it doesn't offend you, you're a sick puppy.
Yeah.
So I said, no, that's exactly why it stays. And we left it for that purpose, and we wanted to add that dimension. But if you notice, we didn't show the strangulation. We showed a simulation, right? We showed him in his face in the aftermath. So, yeah, I didn't want to show a little boy getting strangled. No, I couldn't take that myself. But again, how do you like somebody who does that?
Right.
Right.
I don't know. The audience, you people out there, you really need to check that. We love you. We love you having us as a guest. We're excited for what we're doing in the future that's coming. And we hope your audience will watch our movies. And if you like them, please tell everybody. If you don't like them, just pretend you didn't see them. Don't tell nobody. Okay.
Well, it's like your mom told you growing up, you have nothing good to say nothing at all.
There you go. There you go.
So, on behalf of me and Amanda and our Facebook group, I'd like to thank the audience for coming tonight and sharing your questions. This is recorded and will be up there, so I know we didn't get to everybody's questions. If you ever have any free time and want to answer them, if you can, you never know.
Hey, you come on our site, we'll answer your question.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll send them over to your Twitter account. There you go.
Everyone is thanking you guys for being here and saying how awesome the movies are, and appreciate you guys for doing this chat
Thank you.
tonight. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very cool.